Hello everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're all well. I have been busy. So my video starts with a few clips as to what you're going to see in the rest of this video. Quite a long one today, a little bit longer than my videos normally are because I normally aim for about 20 minutes. So please make time to sit down, relax, or put the video on as you do your cleaning and your jobs around the house. So this video, most of these videos are recorded towards the end of our holiday. So thank you for all of the lovely comments and suggestions and ideas for my last few videos where I talked about our adventure in Italy. We had a fantastic time. And of course, because we stay in self-catering accommodation, I need to keep on top of washing and wiping up and generally kind of sorting things out. And what I also love is right towards the end of the holiday, I always do a big washing load, which we were at a holiday park right at the end of the holiday. Some of you commented about the swimming pool and so on in my last video. And it was €4 for a big washing machine load. I'd say it's probably double the size of my washing machine. So I did 2 loads. I did 1 load of colours and 1 load of whites. And I'll talk about that a little bit later because I go on a little walk to show you where I go to get the washing done. You can see this accommodation, like I said before, it's not really very big. So the door there you can go is outside to the decking area. Then you've got the toilet, which is really small. Then you've got the bedroom with the door on the right. Then this area, which is like kitchen, diner and lounge. Then you've got a shower room and then my daughter's bedroom. So the people that were next to us had got 5 people there, 2 adults, 2 teenage children and 1 little one. So I don't know how on earth they managed. I guess they'd got like the 14, 12-year-old-ish and the 4-year-old in one room. And then the 2 adults were in the other room, I'm guessing. But we had a really lovely time. And I was tempted actually there and then to book this particular holiday park up for next year. But my husband was like, oh, there's so many other places to go to. So we didn't actually book, but I was certainly tempted to. We had some really nice people like in the area around where we were. People that like, they get there in June and they stay until September. So they set everything up for that period of time, and they like put like plastic matting down and they come out in the morning and they sweep it all up and everything. I mean, with this accommodation here, we were there 10 nights in total, and obviously I washed up, wiped up, did some laundry, but I didn't do anything else because I don't want to be, sweeping around. Well, actually I did sweep up a couple of times, but not particularly thoroughly, not like if I was actually living there how you do, because you do feel like you're on holiday, so you don't want to be doing housework as such, do you? Quite a few of you asked me about cooking and so on, and yeah, I guess things have changed. So quite a few years ago, one of the main things I enjoyed about holiday was trying different restaurants, eating out, that was part of the holiday. But due to like restrictions on food and allergies, that changed, and it is more expensive to buy to have self-catering accommodation. But then, of course, you're not spending the money on the meals out. So I think it, to be honest, works out about the same. Because when in the past, if you like, for instance, look in a city, you can get hotels for around £100. But self-catering sort of apartments tend to be quite a bit more than that. But then if you think about how much a meal is out, that's a lot more than if you buy, big shops. But it was really good for my daughter, in supermarkets is what I mean. It was really good for my daughter in terms of using her Italian. So on all other holidays, she spent more time like listening to conversations, and she'll talk a little bit, but not loads. Certainly in England, if people ask her something in Italian, usually she'll respond in English. That's probably changed the last couple of years a little bit, so she's a bit more likely to respond in Italian if the person is Italian. But yeah, that she just spoke so much and she did fantastically. I show you a clip here where I was like, in this aisle in the supermarket and was like struck by all their cleaning products. I've like turned into a bit of a cleaning, tidying, focused person. But like they've got containers and different cleaning things that we just don't have here. Loads of boxes and containers in the supermarket. And the thing that Italy does better than the United Kingdom is with brooms. Their brushes and their brooms are much better than what we have in England. And I think it's because they have loads of tiled floors and marble floors. So they have like this amazing selection of brushes, which every time I go to Italy, I always say to my husband, like, I really want one of these. The other thing that they're better at are the contraptions that attach to your window. So if you don't have like a balcony area and you have a window in an upstairs room, they have all these different contraptions that attach to the window so you can dry your washing. And I'm guessing because like in the cities, they don't tend to have gardens. They tend to have more of like balconies or these things that fix around the windows. And every time I look and think, I want one of those in our upstairs loft room. I could fit it on the outside of the window and I could attach the towels. So I could dry my towels there. I think that'd be fantastic. So you can see this video is a mix of the last few sort of days. I was doing bits and pieces. You can see where I just did the video. We're hanging all the washing out. So this was all the darks and the colours that I'd washed. Managed to get all the towels done and dry, which saved me loads of time. Largely because when we came back to the UK, it's lovely and sunny. But on the second day, I had my washing on the line. Couple of things. I obviously didn't have loads to do just from the last day of the things that we travelled in. And it rained. I thought, I can't believe it. Back in the United Kingdom, washing on the line, and it rains. Thankfully, it wasn't a heavy rain. It was quite a light rain, so that was good. And you can see I do loads and loads of things in the house to get things sorted out. I made the big mistake of undoing some of the suitcases in the hall. Now, the reason for that is my lounge was untidy and my dining was untidy. Obviously, I'm not going to unpack in the kitchen. My hall was reasonably tidy, so I thought, okay, I'm going to open up all the cases and sort things out. So I created like one big suitcase. It's just full of all the holiday things that we're not going to use at any other time. So I was filling that. But that then meant that my mum came to the door, and I was glad it was my mum and not anybody else, because I opened the door and you like got to physically climb over things. So that wasn't a good idea, really. I try to keep the hall tidy. I know I say that. Sometimes I just think I'm a bit of a record player, saying the same thing over and over again. But I think if you keep the hall tidy, then it just creates a better impression when people come to the door. But it was my mum, and she knew that I was back from my holiday, so it didn't really matter. And then I show you the video of my cut through of where I go to do the washing. So this is quite close to our apartment, so you can see the different cabins and the different sort of setups that people have. There was a camping area one side, and then there's these like little cabins. But there was a long way round and then this really short way round. But my video stopped suddenly. And the reason for that is, if you're a real Hawkeye, you'll see that I stopped it because I was in shock. Because someone had come along, they'd seen that the washing machine had stopped spinning. They took out all my whites. I mean, I don't understand that. I felt that quite frustrating, touching someone else's clothes. They took all my stuff out of the washing machine and just dumped it on the top. So that's why that suddenly stops. I stopped videoing because I was like, what's gone on here? I saw it all sitting there. So I wasn't too impressed about that. There was a lady standing just outside, and I looked at her and said, like, had she done that? And she was like, no, I didn't know anything about it. I'm guessing it's because the wash took 40 minutes. And I probably left it for like an hour and someone thought I want to use the washing machine. So they just took my washing out, but I wasn't too pleased about that. And also I didn't have my white powder. So my whites didn't come up so white. And then I was thinking, like some of these socks aren't as white as I want. And the person who's taken my clothes out of the washing machine has seen that. Hey ho, just one of those things, isn't it? So you can see it's over a couple of different days because I'm wearing different clothes. You can see it's dark outside, or it's light outside on some of them. I was very, very lucky. My husband, every morning he went off to the shop and the bakery to get our breakfast. Every lunch he organised, and he cooked every dinner. I think there was one meal that I did. Yeah, he's nodding his head. There was one meal that I did. I can't remember what the meal was, but there was one meal I cooked. So that was really, really good of him. So some of you sometimes say, oh, all the work that you're doing, how come nobody else is helping you with the washing up? Well, I can't expect someone to cook all my meals and do all the cleaning up. So I'm quite keen to step in and do that. I don't mind. I'd actually much rather wash up than what I would cook a meal. It was a couple of days though. I'd left the washing up in the evening, and he was doing it in the morning, and I was like, oh no, but that was because we didn't have hardly any cutlery or any plates compared to what we have at home, which I know many of you have said to me, put things away, don't have so much cutlery, don't have so many plates, and then you're forced to wash them up and not leave things. So I really want to update you with some of your comments. Had some really lovely comments while I was away, and I've also managed to respond to a lot of them, so thank you so much. So firstly, Zoe Brindle says some wonderful footage. Thank you. Already your gorgeous poppet is starting to use those important life skills taught by you both. Hard-working parenting most definitely pays off. Love to you all. Oh, what a lovely comment. That's Travel USA. Says, needed this motivation today. Thank you for sharing. I need to look at your page. That's Travel USA, because you might have some information that would be good for me in terms of travelling across the USA. It's funny we were talking about this somewhere that I don't know if I've said this before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. But I think I said before about how I'd love to go back to Yosemite. So before we had my daughter, so that was in 2010, we flew into San Francisco, spent some time in San Francisco, got a hire car, and then drove all the way through to Las Vegas. And on the way there, we stopped at like Mammoth Lakes and Yosemite Park. We didn't spend much time in Yosemite Park, but that was the first time that I'd ever been on a holiday where the main thing to do was like look at the scenery and walk and just wonder at the natural world. And I was blown away by it, really. Up until that point, I'd always gone on holidays to see monuments, to see buildings, to see art. That was just incredible. And on the way through, I really wanted to go to Bodie, which is one of the gold rush ghost towns. And my husband was like, oh, there's another one I can take you to. There's another one I can take you to. So he took me to this other one. And I was like, oh, I really want to go to Bodie. He said, no, that's a long way out of the way, which it was a bit out of the way, because I always also wanted to go to, the Carpenters song. I can't think what that song is. Someone will tell me in the comments. I can't think where that is, but we went through the place that the Carpenters sing about, but there was not really that much there. It was like predominantly like IT sort of computer town, city. But when we eventually got to our destination, we also drove through the desert in a Mustang, which was like, I'll never forget that. But when my husband when we got to our destination and he looked online at Bodie, he was like, I'm really sorry. That looks absolutely incredible. Looks so amazing. So we've always said that we want to go back to Yosemite Park. We would love to stay in an actual cabin on site and maybe get to hear the bears and take my daughter. I probably wouldn't go back to San Francisco. I think it's a good place. I would like my daughter to go there one day, but I'm not that keen on going back to San Francisco. I loved the holiday at the time, but there was quite a few things that happened to us in quite a short period of time where I didn't feel safe. And it might have just been that we were a bit unlucky, but there were a few things that happened. So there's lots of places in America that I'd like to go. And then they started looking at the Disney cruises and all that sort of thing. I mean, Disney cruises go to some amazing places, but I think that'll be a 10-year save up. Right, next comment. The video games historian, thank you for commenting. I've not heard from you recently. I always think when on holiday how little we actually need, and then I go home and declutter. I love watching the footage, Emma. And I did comment back to video games historian. It's quite funny, isn't it? Because I do exactly the same thing. Whenever we're on holiday and we're in like 2-bed apartments or in smaller accommodation, I always say, look, we don't need all the stuff that we've got. We've got far too much stuff. We could get rid of it all. And like on this time, my husband was saying this accommodation is too small. We've got no storage. So that, I mean, this time, the last place we stayed in was probably a bit too small. But all the others are perfectly sufficient compared to like, we've got a 4-bedroomed house. You don't really need that for 3 people. So, yeah, it really does make you think. And I have come back, and my video after this, you will see that I'm doing loads. So stay tuned. I am getting rid of so much. Remember when I did all those containers full of pens, pencils and crayons and I got rid of loads? Well, you haven't seen anything because I've got rid of hundreds. Anyway, you can see that in the next video. Barbara Palmore says, loved the pictures of the sea. I also had no idea you could not bring seashells back to America from Scotland. I had about 6 small ones from a small fishing town that had a storm. Well, I don't think there's going to be any problem with that, Barbara. And I don't know whether the rules apply to Scotland. This might be an old English law. And I think the reason why it's been talked about in the last couple of years is because we have this thing where people paint rocks and leave them in different places. So what was happening was that people were going to the sea and taking like bags of these rocks to take home, paint and decorate, and then hide up in different places. So I think that's why that was talked about, that particular law. Sharon Mummy says, sorry to hear about your plants in the greenhouse. We grow so much too, and it's always difficult when we go away. We also have a watering system, but it's not a solar one. It's on a timer and is set up on the outside tap and hose. We got it from Amazon, the best thing we ever got. So we did have one that was a bit more like that. And then this new one that relies on the sun coming up and the sun going down. We came back to so many cucumbers and tomatoes and everything in the greenhouse doing well. Oh, well done. That's good. We have had something that's eaten all the leaves on the potato plant. Have we had something eat holes in them? But we managed to save them somewhat. Oh, that's good. But all our lettuce looked like fried seaweed as they were in the garden, not in the greenhouse. Even though we put water globes, the sun was too much for them. That's a shame about the lettuces, but everything else sounds like it's done really well. Do you know, I have never, ever had any success with cucumbers. My father-in-law grows these cucumbers, like, you know, similar to what you can buy in a supermarket. I once had one really, really small one, and then it ended up with a really thick end and a thin the other ends. I had another one that I tried and wasn't very nice. Nobody else would eat it because they all said it wasn't nice. So I've sort of gave up a bit on cucumbers. But I've got some good news for those of you that commented about my plants. That was Sharon Mummy and also Tracy Forth. Said sorry about your plants. It would have definitely been better to have been told when you get home. I've absolutely loved your holiday vlogs. Thank you for sharing. You're very welcome, Tracy Forth. Thank you for your post. When I got home, it was really, really late, and I'll tell you a bit about that. It was really, really late, and so it was too dark to go out into the greenhouse, that was the first thing I wanted to do. So the next morning, we got up quite late. The first thing I did was I went out the back door and I went down the garden and looked in the greenhouse. And I don't know what my dad meant, because there were about 6 plants that were dead, which I could clearly see I'd left in the wrong place. Where the water fell, and everything else was doing absolutely fine. Outside, all my dwarf beans were absolutely laden in beans. Nothing much has come back from my peas, and everything else is fine. So I'm not quite sure the drama around telling me that everything was dead when actually everything wasn't dead. Carolyn says, Coke. I'm a Diet Coke girl. We've never stayed in anything other than a hotel. You have a lot of work. Yeah, I talked about that a minute ago, didn't I? About the extra work you have when you stay in self-catering. In terms of Coke, yeah, I do. I like, I do sometimes drink Coke or Dr. Pepper with Malibu, like on a Friday or Saturday evening. I have 1 or 2 glasses. But I don't buy Coke at home. And the reason why I don't buy Coke at home is I'd be tempted to drink it all. And I don't buy bottles of Dr. Pepper or Coke. I actually prefer it in bottles because I like it when it's not so fizzy. But the reason why I don't buy it is I can't limit myself. And I personally think that fizzy drinks are one of the worst things that we can have. I think the majority of us are addicted to sugar. We don't realise that we are, but we are. And often when you're really, really thirsty, you desperately want sugar. It's actually because your fluids are so low. But I just think the replacements of sugar, like sucralose and aspartame, I think that's scary, some of the things that are put in drinks. Brooke says, it looks like your husband has a drone at the end of the video. He has. That drone went on a bit of a trip. Because 2 years ago, we drove to Italy, and on the way back, we were coming up through France, some really lovely villages, and the car broke down. So we ended up being put into a hotel, and we had to get an urgent request back because, as I've already explained to you about the food situation, we can't be in a hotel for any longer than a day, really, because there isn't anything that you can go and buy from a supermarket that my daughter can eat unless she's going to live off raw carrots, crisps, tomatoes, raspberries, strawberries, which, you know, only sustains you for so long, doesn't it? You get hungry after a bit. And so we got the Eurostar, the insurance company paid out for, and my father-in-law picked us up from London, which is very, very good of him. And it was in the dark, it was all a bit of a rush. And long story short, that drone got left on the Eurostar in London. And we phoned up several times and asked if they'd had it handed in. No, nothing was there. So we put the insurance claim. Insurance claim went backwards and forwards for ages. And just at the point where we needed a written statement from Eurostar to say, no, we definitely don't have it, they messaged me and said that they'd found a bag with a drone in, and what was there in the bag that could identify me. That there was a card and something that would identify me. And I was like, I've got no idea what's in the side pocket of that drone bag. But it ended up being one of our Paris Disney tickets in the side. My husband suddenly remembered. So yeah, that drone has been on a bit of a trip. We were just about to buy a new one. And the old one was discovered, which was good. Bit of a shame though, this time I managed to drop it, which I felt bad for because it's my husband's. And obviously drones are, not something that you want to buy on a regular basis. You want to, to buy it once and for it to last quite a few years. But it looks like it's not damaged, thankfully. So can you all believe the amount of work that you're seeing me do in this video? All the cases. Now, something that my husband and I have talked about is the numbers of cases. So when you fly with, obviously it's the same wherever you live, when you fly with certain aircraft, you get some baggage allowance, sometimes not that much. So we ended up being able to have quite a lot of baggage allowance, and my husband seemed to want to use it all. So I did say before we went, I felt like we were taking too much, and we really were. Next time I go on holiday, I'm going to look back at this video and listen to what I'm saying and take some advice, because I think really you need like 2 pairs of shorts, 3 dresses, maybe a skirt, and about 4 tops, and then underwear. You don't need anything else. I had like 2 night dresses, a pair of pyjamas, 3 pairs of shorts, one of which you couldn't actually, no, 4 pairs of shorts, one of which I last fitted into about 10 years ago. You can hear about that from my previous video. A pair of tracksuit bottoms, which I wore to travel in. 4 dresses. About 20 tops. About 20 pairs of underwear, which I really did not need. And then loads of other things which I took out of the case, put in the wardrobes and put back in the case. And my daughter had the same thing. There's quite a lot of clothes that we took and she didn't wear. And my husband must have had about, 25 t-shirts, 20 t-shirts. 3 or 4 of them he didn't wear at all. And one of them I really don't like. I was tempted to put it in the charity shop after I'd washed it. But we did have a bit of a joke because there was a t-shirt that he'd worn on holiday, and I was convinced it was the one that I'd thrown next to the charity shop bag before we went away. And I was laughing at him on holiday saying, you found that and you thought that was to go on holiday and I'd put it for the charity. But when I got home, no, it was still next to the charity bag. So that wasn't the one that he took on holiday. But you can see that my house and hall was reasonably tidy before we went away. And now look, there's everything that needs to go everywhere. So we've had a couple of days where we've been able to spend a bit of time sorting out. So today, Saturday, so we spent some time today sorting things out. But Wednesday we weren't working. We had the day off altogether to do some sorting. But Thursday and Friday, I worked both days. So Thursday I worked 8 till 4ish, and Friday I worked all day from home, which makes things easier. And my daughter and husband went out on Friday, so my daughter spent a bit of time with her grandmother doing some craft, and then they went into Norwich city centre together. And then on Thursday, my daughter spent some time with grandma in the morning and granddad in the afternoon. And the next week, I'm doing a bit of work on Tuesday, but I'm on holiday Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Monday. Then we'll have the weekend, and the week after that, I'm off on holiday again. But the way that I'm managing things over the school holidays is that I do work for both my jobs in the evening. So I sort of keep an eye on emails, and I can write up documents, etc., and keep on top of things like that. So that works quite well. So I spend a bit more time trying to do things, sort things in the hall, and then you'll see me go into the garden. So I thought I'd show you this. I know I've got my separate gardening channel, but I thought I'd show you this so you can see how everything has stayed alive quite well, given the fact that I was told that everything was dead and that nothing had been watered and nothing had survived. So I managed to get a load of beans, so probably 1 saucepan load of beans for the 3 of us. They were really lovely, really yummy, so I was very pleased with them. And I've got another saucepan load ready for another meal. Nothing came on my peas, and I do think that was because I ended up putting them in too late. So I was happy with my garden. I didn't feel like that had suffered too badly at all, and I said that to my dad when he came round on Thursday. So it was quite a relief really, not too bad at all. And I'm particularly pleased with how strong the beans are and how many beans I've got from the plants. So all in all, not too bad. So you'll see that I do sort that in the garden, pick all the beans, and then I bring all the beans in, and my husband cooks them and we eat them all that evening. And then you'll see that I'm then back working on trying to sort my haul out, which looks a complete and utter state. So thank you all so much for staying with me while I went on holiday and still commenting and watching my videos and giving me your ideas and suggestions. My mindset is definitely changing on so much. I was even thinking about like some of the things when I did my bathroom declutter, and yes, I do need to do another one because I've got about 12 mosquito bottles to get rid of, and now we know that if they're over a certain age they just don't work because the mosquito was sitting on the repellent on my arm. So I can get rid of all those. But also I know that there are things there that have been half used and I don't want to use them, but I think, oh, it's wasteful to get rid of them. And actually, if I don't want to use them and if I don't like them, I need to get rid of them. And when we were going through all the pencils and pens and crayons and stationery today, my daughter said something like, I should have asked her to write it down, but she was like, don't like it, don't want it, don't need it, get rid, or something similar. And I was like, you're absolutely right. And I'm the one that hangs on to things. She's quite happy to get rid of lots and lots and lots. Often things that I don't want her to get rid of. I have to look twice. There was a Paris pen that she got rid of today. A Paris pen that I've had since I was 10 and it still works. I don't want to get rid of my Paris pen. Anyway, thank you very, very much for your support, your kindness, your comments. I love the fact that you are all so lovely. I very much appreciate you being here. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!